and you want to get into like the cafe business, don't. Get into the coffee business.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to start their own cafe?
The word cafe is used a lot. It's just a common sort of word that's used. And whenever someone says cafe, it's always food and coffee. Everyone's perception of a cafe is you've got to offer sandwiches and food and hot food and coffee and cold drinks and everything like that. So we've never called our business a cafe. Even when I had the previous business before this one, it was always espresso bar. So we're very conscious, nowhere on our online store or our online website or in any of our literature or anything that we do we have the word cafe. It's always espresso bar or coffee. Our business model is based on coffee first and everything else second. So it really is a coffee and retail business model, particularly this store. There's a lot of retail in this store, so people will come in, they'll order their coffee. We have jewellery, we have fashion jewellery for sale. We have kitchen products that are made in Queensland, or they're not made in Queensland. The company is a Queensland company, Dream Farm, and they're awesome. And we have lots of add-on things. So people, might pick up a spatula or something like that, or they might pick up a spoon, or they might grab a pair of earrings, and their coffee. To us, that's better than having to have a kitchen with grills on and council fees for food licenses and all that sort of thing. So if you're going to start a business and you want to get into like the cafe business, don't. Get into the coffee business.
Well, that's a good...
So start an espresso bar. And if you make good coffee, they will come. If you start just a coffee shop, make good coffee, offer a couple of biscuits or something like that, you can build yourself up a great little business at low cost. The trick is to keep your costs down and keep your work down. If you specialise, if you want to do a hipster coffee place, you're going to specialise and you're going to alienate a lot of your customers. That path doesn't lead to profit. So what you need to do is you need to start a coffee place where you concentrate on the coffee, you make it welcoming for all sorts of people. You don't make it wanky. You make coffee that the customers want for the area that you're in. Don't try and be something that you're not.
Yeah.
But you need to keep your costs down, because particularly now, this day and age, the costs. And I used to work for a lady in Sydney. She had a club, and I used to work for her at this club. I remember this lady used to always say to me, she goes, we talk about the business and stuff that she would do, like running the business from time to time. And she would always say to me, Vince, it's not the big stuff, it's the little things. She said, you can't do anything about the big stuff. You can't do anything about your rent. You can't do anything about the power, but it's all the little things that'll bring you unstuck. She said, always concentrate on the little things. The big things you can't do anything about. They are what they are, but it's all the little stuff you need to keep your eye on.
Little details.
Yeah, it's all the little stuff, the little things, because that'll bring you undone. Like, for example, like we use takeaway cups, all right? So if my staff were to use takeaway cups or just for like mixing stuff and then throwing them out, that's a cost every day. And so any of those cups that get thrown out internally here, if they're used just for doing something else and not for a customer's coffee, if they end up in our bin, so over time, that cost adds up every day, all those cups. So if I was to add all that up, that would be huge at the end of the year. Yeah. So in other words, if they, for example, sometimes we have to mix the chai up before we put the chai into a cup for the end user, for the customer. Yeah. So if they just mix that chai up in one of our standard, like mixing cups or whatever, which is just a normal ceramic cup or whatever it is, if they use that and then washed it out, that's a lot more efficient than using a paper cup, putting it into another paper cup and then throwing the paper cup out.
Yeah.
So it's all little things. It's
and
like it's your consumables.
So that's good.
Yeah, and your consumables and that, and like just being mindful, taking coffee out of the grinder and not ripping the handle out fast so all the coffee falls out and you've got all this wastage, because that wastage adds up. So all that wastage of coffee every day turns into a great big. So it's the little things that you've got to watch.
Yep.
Your rent is your rent, your power is your power. You just have to live with that. wages as well. So if you've got people working for you, you need to be mindful of that.
Where do you see Retro Espresso in 5 years? And is there any plans to expand or innovate?
With 3 shops, I'd like to have more, but unfortunately with every shop that you add, the complexity and the issues with staffing and cost control just adds another layer of like I don't know, grief, you know, for me. And being a control freak, it's hard for me to let go of things, so I take a lot on board myself. So I really can't see myself opening another shop. The 3 that we have is kind of fine, and I'm kind of happy not expanding the shops anymore. I'd like to expand the online store more, and that's something we're looking at for our 10th sort of anniversary. We're having a bit of a refresh of the business. That's something I want to have a look at then, is trying to boost the online sales of beans and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.